So we began last time Siman Kuf Pei Tes, a long Siman, one of the more important Siman in Hilchos Niddah, dealing with the various types of vesatot, the various types of periods that a woman can establish or that she has to be concerned about. And there are quite a few of them. And last time we went over names of those vesatot and some additional concepts that are needed to understand the Siman. What I think we should do is review some of those concepts and see how they relate to the various vesatot, and then we'll go through the various se'im one by one. We began to explain that there's something called chazaka, that we know. Chazaka exists in various areas of halacha. And it also exists in Niddah, in a very important way. Niddah is something, of course, that a woman has to be, it's deraisa, it's chorus, not only a woman, her husband as well. And we don't just take any chances when it comes to, and as a result of the various potential problems that can arise from Niddah, the Chachamim, of course, it was within their jurisdiction to make takonas, to make zeros, to make archokas, and there are quite a few in Hilchos Niddah as well. And we haven't gotten to those. Nonetheless, as much as the archokas are important, vesatot are derabanan, as I believe we explained. The whole idea that if a pattern is established, it's still a derabanan. And one reason for what difference would it make right now for our purposes that it's a derabanan is because there's a machlokas whether a chazaka in the Gemara, several places, whether a chazaka is 2 times or 3 times. So we paskin like Rav Shimon ben Gamliel in Hilchos Niddah that to make a chazaka it requires 3 times. In other words, we're being makel.
Quick question.
Yes.
If it wasn't for this rabbinical vest, it has to be especially careful.
And check herself, right?
So the Raisa that there is such a thing as a vest, modified.
No, it's harchakas. It's how much time he has to be away.
But if there wasn't such a thing,
a woman becomes unclean. She has a cheskes tahara until she sees or feels the blood coming out of her. Then she becomes.
Need to check specifically.
No, once
there
she
would
feels.
be a certain time.
Right, exactly.
That wouldn't exist.
Right.
So actually, it would be more lenient. The Rabbanan by introducing vestus made it pure clean on the woman.
Yeah.
With the Raisa, it's the way around. She would only have the if she had already.
That's correct.
Noticed that something.
The leniency is only in the number of times. That's why I said that as far as how it relates to us, is 3 times. But otherwise, you're right. I mean, all our chakas are chumras. Yeah, because of our concern. So she establishes, the way we hold, she establishes a chazaka or veset kavua by having seen a pattern of 3 times. Now, there's all kinds of patterns. A pattern that depends on time is one of them is called veset haflaga, one of the more common ones, the more popular ones, and that is a time span, if we can call it that, between 2 periods. She has had her last period 25 days ago, 28 days ago, 32 days ago. So she has established a time span. Now, will this repeat itself or not? Not necessarily. Some women are kavua, and some women are not kavua. It would be nice if everybody was kavua. We would save ourselves a lot of headaches. But Baruch Hashem, there's quite a few halachas as a result of the fact that women have different kinds of things, and we have to account for all of them. So one type of veset kavua is dependent on time, and that time frame is called veset hahaflaga. In other words, there's a certain amount of time that has transpired between one period and another period. In order to be able to have an established pattern, you need to have 4 periods, not just 3, right? Because without the first one basically doesn't count. Without the first one, you don't really have a time span. So even though we said chazaka is 3, it does not include the first one. So in reality, you have 4 times. Even though there are others who differ on this, that is how we hold. In order to establish a veset haflogo, you end up having 4 dates, 4 times actually, of which calculate 3 time spans. All right, that was called veset haflogo. Then we had veset chodesh, which is also important, and that is that the veset returns at a certain day of the month. Now, I think somebody asked me, in case you did not ask me, I'll mention it now. Is it the English day or the Hebrew day? I think someone mentioned it.
No,
right?
no one did that here.
Right. It's the Hebrew date. And I was looking up the reason why it's the Hebrew. I just wanted to double check what exactly is going on more in a Hebrew date than in English. And it turns out, I think the Rashba says that it's something intrinsic in the Kiddush HaChodesh, in the koach that the Chachamim had by announcing a certain day, which back then was al pi hareiyah, based on witnesses. And that moment that was sanctified through announcing the day, the new month, somehow imparts a certain koach, or a certain energy to the day, to the Hebrew days, to the month.
I think similar.
Yes.
With respect to
Okay.
when the rabbis announced the Shana Me'ubedet and that 3 year virgin, something like that.
Okay, whatever. So, otherwise, I mean, there is something there, because it has been seen, it has been observed, that certain women somehow were having their period on a certain day of the month. So the question right now is, well, what does it have to do with? That's one explanation that I saw.
Why would we have a thought of different calendars, and they're all man-made?
Good question. Right. Yeah, why would we? First of all, I don't want to give any credit to it, but there is something called numerology, okay, in the non-Jewish world. There is something similar in the Jewish world as well, gematrias and all that numbers are significant. There is something out there. There's definitely something out there. You can call it energy, you can call it a power, that somehow relates to time. Astrology, for example, is very significant because it basically determines one's mazel at the time he's born. The day, the month, the hour is very significant. It's a mazel that is sholet, that actually rules. There's a power, an energy that controls or that influences that particular moment. So I may think that there's something unusual about a day. What is so unique about this one day? That perhaps it is related to some koach out there. Comes along the Rashba and says, yeah, but that koach is the Kiddush HaChodesh, and therefore the Jewish calendar is really, and don't pay any attention to the secular month. Because our calendar, even though is established somewhat by humans as well, it has Kedusha. And if it has Kedusha, it imparts something to those days, as opposed to the other calendar, which is based on the solar month, of course. Yeah.
The solar.
Right.
Okay.
That's correct. Right.
Okay. It's purely lunar.
Correct.
The others,
Sure.
the zodiac is
Right.
a calendar.
That's correct, yeah. The Jewish calendar is a combination of the two. That is why it's the most accurate calendar.
That's why I don't understand why this is.
Well,
Somebody would have a holiday based on some.
no, it's not a defense of it. It's just trying to explain what exactly is happening, why the days have something so special to them that they obviously somehow influence the woman or the cycles of women. All right. We have Veset HaShavua. I'm just going through quickly now the names because we will see them as we go through the various Se'im in Kuf Pei Tes. You will see that the Mechaber looks at these various scenarios and discusses them. So I'm just going through the names. So Veset HaShavua was a Veset that comes back on a certain day of the week, after a certain amount of weeks. Then we have Veset HaDilug. Veset HaDilug, you can have two types of Veset HaDilug. Dilug means you can have that in the Chodesh, in the month, or you can have it also in the Haflaga. For example, a skip in the month. Aleph Tishrei, Dalet Cheshvan, Zayin Kislev. So you have a skip of 3 days the following month. So it's on one day, on month number one. It is the following month, 3 days after the day of the month in the previous. And the same thing recurs the following month. So you have a chazaka where, according to, it's a machlokes, Rav and Shmuel, how many times you need, 3 or 4. But basically, once you have 4, according to Shmuel at least, you will have this trend of a skip that you can expect or you can anticipate that that's what will happen, because you've seen it happen. Somehow, this Veset of this woman, that's how it operates. It skips. In other words, the skip here is not in the amount of time, it is in the day of the month. Whereas the second Veset Adilug is also skipped, but it's in the amount of time. So, first time span, 28 days. Second time span, 30 days. Third time span, 32 days. And it comes back. 28, every 28 days, and the next, on the 30th day, then the next one is on the 32nd day, and then it goes back. So this is called Veset HaDilug, and you can have that either in the days of the month, skipping, in the actual days, or in the time span of the Haflaga between. This happens. All right. And this will also have a machlokes. Do we need 3 or do we need 4? In other words, do we count the first time or not? Because according to Shmuel, you need to have the first one. So therefore, the first one doesn't count. So you have a total of 4 times, 4 days. Okay, then we had some other kinds of Vesatot, Veset HaDilug Chalila, where it comes back every couple months. She saw the same thing occur over a time frame of several months. So it's Chalila. This trend repeats itself several times a year. And the Veset that we will be seeing later on, also that could happen, is Veset HaSirug. And that's important to understand, because there will be, the concept of Sirug means that somehow, at some point, it stops. It doesn't come. So basically you have like this. It comes on 1 month, it comes on a certain day. But then it skips the next month, it doesn't come at all. Not that it's coming at another time. It just doesn't come. It could be every 2-3 months, coming back at the same month, at the same exact day. So this is an interesting, it may not be common, but it will help us understand certain scenarios. Well, what happens to a woman who does have a Veset Kavua and for some reason she did 1 month? How are we supposed to look at it? Are we supposed to be concerned it can come the next day? So the concept of Sirug is an interesting concept. In other words, it happens that sometimes for a variety of reasons a woman can't skip. Now, of course, if it only happens once, it's not as big as a concern. There's something called Akirata Veset, which we'll speak about soon. Akirata Veset means that a Veset can no longer exist if it has been uprooted. It's no longer, in other words,
there's no longer a pattern.
A pattern, exactly. So, how many times do you need it not to happen for it to be Ne'ekar? Which we'll see, for the most part, it's 3. But if it's not Kavua, 1 time. If it does not come back on that day that we were concerned about all along, it may be gone. In other words, the next time I may not have to be covered. So, Veset HaSirug is an interesting concept because it could play itself out in various kinds of situations where somehow a particular day was skipped, or for some reason this month it didn't happen now, but it happened a day later. What does that mean? So we're going to see. We're going to see how that applies. And then, of course, we went into Vesatot HaGuf, that many times women can feel something, and they always have the same feeling, the sensation, and it can be a combination of that plus a day. Those are called Vesatot HaGuf or Mikrim, certain things that happen to a woman that she can always know that she. All right, the most important difference between a Veset Kavua and Eno Kavua. We said that patterns are good if they're Kavua. But if there's no pattern, then a woman basically is called a woman that has a Veset She'eno Kavua. I guess that's how she can be called. That's the category where we put her. Either she has the Kavua or not Kavua. The main difference between the two of them is like this. Veset Kavua, which is a pattern of 3 times, cannot be uprooted unless it does not happen for 3 times. That's one important difference. In other words, if she was seeing every 28 days, and she stopped seeing 28 days, now she began to see every 29 or 30 days. And this happened 3 times, that she no longer sees so she no longer has to be concerned 28 days later. In other words, if it happened that her kavua, her Veset Kavua was uprooted, or did not recur for 3 times in a row, in other words, the amount of time that she was using, it's called Akirata Veset. So that's one difference. Whereas a Veset She'ena Kavua, you don't need 3 times. A woman that does not have a regular period, as we're going to see, has to be concerned about 3 days. She has to be concerned about Veset HaChodesh, Yom HaChodesh, Veset Benoni, and Veset HaFlogo. A woman who's not regular basically has to be concerned that her next period will be the amount of time, right? From last time that she saw, the last particular time spent. It could have been 26, it could have been 29, whatever it was. She has to be concerned about that and figure it may just be that the next time around, it just could be that it's going to be exactly what it was last time. So she has to be concerned about that day, whenever that day happens, comes out. She has to be concerned about the Veset Achodesh, because she doesn't have a Veset Kavua. Maybe she's going to see the exact day of the month she saw last time. And Ona Benonit. I said Veset Benonit, I meant Ona Benonit. Ona Benonit is the average. What the Chachamim consider the average time frame for a woman is every 30. So comes the 30th day, if she did not see it yet on the 26th, 27th, or 28th, comes the 30 days, she has to be concerned. When we say concern, what we mean is, of course, that the husband and wife cannot be together during that time frame. And by the way, what is that time? We spoke about that last time too. Well, there's a machlokes. Let's say last time she saw during the day, 11 o'clock in the morning, day. So the next time, when she has to watch out for that amount of time, whether it's haflaga, chodesh, or whatever it is, day. Or does it mean day and night? Some say a whole day and night. We hold for the most part is that day. She saw during the day, during the day. She saw at night, during the night. What about the Or Zarua? Remember the Or Zarua? A lot of people already follow that you have to consider the Ona before the Ona she anticipates to see. Well, that Rabbi Elyahu, I believe, says that the Or Zarua doesn't really apply to Oina Beinanis. Because Oina Beinanis is not an amount of time that has transpired between one period and another period, and therefore I have to be concerned about the evening or the day before. Oina Beinanis, we say, is an average. 30 days later, it's an established amount of time. Therefore, we don't have to be machmir with Or Zarua for the Oina Beinanis. In other words, Or Zarua would apply elsewhere, perhaps. But not for Oina Beinanis, because Oina Beinanis basically says 30 days, and that's it. Now the question is, but wait a minute, does it mean the whole day and night, or just the day? Well, that depends on the machlokes that we mentioned, I believe, last time, that some hold that it's the whole day, and some say it's just the exact time of the day that she saw, either this day or it's the night. So far, what did we see with the differences between Veset Kavua and Eino Kavua is that Veset Kavua requires Akira, if you want to uproot it 3 times, and if it's a Veset She'eino Kavua, if it does not happen on that day, in other words, let's say she's not regular, and now she has to watch out for certain days, right? She's going to watch out for the same day of the month as last time, she's going to watch out for 28 days, because that's what was last time, and she's going to watch out for Oina. Let's say she doesn't see it on the same day of the month that she had it last time. She doesn't see it 28 days like she saw it last time. Since she does not have a Veset Kavua, those days are no longer a concern the next time around. They're gone. She doesn't have to be concerned about them. Now let's say she's going to see it this time around, she's going to see it on the 18th day of the month. Well, that will be her new Yom HaChodesh that she has to watch out for the next time around. So you follow me? In other words, Akira Saveset already occurred with one time that she didn't see it. She didn't see it anymore on the 5th day of the month. Well, just once. The next time she didn't see it on the 5th day of the month. Next month, she doesn't have to worry about the 5th day of the month. Is there another day she has to worry about? Yeah. Whatever day it was that she saw it, she ended up seeing this coming month. Whenever it is.
So then she'll always worry about
3.
No, that's time.
Right.
So the next time is plus the 30?
The 30 days she always has to be concerned about. Unless, here comes the punchline, whatever. Oina Beinanis is something which is a given. Why is it a given? Because a woman will see, hopefully, usually, once a month. So of all the 3 dates, if she's not regular, at the very least, she has Oina Beinanis, which is why the Chachamim basically gave her that as, a day to look out, to watch out for. So the question is, well, since that is not really a kaviyas, can she undo that? And the answer is yes. So that's the machlokes. In other words, if it does not happen that after 30 days she has seen her period, she has uprooted the Oina Beinanis. Maybe
Is it 30 days from the first day?
That's
30 days each time that she'll follow.
Very important point. As we will see, I'm going to get into that soon, that it doesn't mean that there's no Oina Beinanis anymore. on this particular day. In other words, yeah,
This anchor.
as an anchor, very good.
Frequent.
To be oiked the old day.
And the 16th, what's with the 16th kind of new?
Exactly.
So she has on the 6th, the 30, a new 30 days?
No, not a new 30 days. She has Yom HaChodesh.
Yom HaChodesh.
And maybe a Haflaga. No, you understand why, you begin to understand how this is be very complex sometime.
Keeps you out of trouble.
Yeah. So anyway, so that's a machlokes, whether Veset, a woman that, if Oina Beinanis requires 3, is Oina Beinanis, it's because some say it's like a Veset Kavua. It's Oina Beinanis. It should be treated as a Veset Kavua that you need 3 times to uproot it. And some say, no, it's not. It's not a real Veset Kavua. There's a Chachamim established, the average, the mean, whatever you want to call it. Yeah? That there's a good chance that a woman may see it around then if she doesn't have a Veset Kavua. Well, maybe once will be enough. So these are the scenarios we're going to get into. We're going to get into, I have various scenarios that we're going to get into. Okay, so difference number 1 between Veset Kavua and Shavua is that Veset Kavua you need 3 times, so uprooted Veset Shavua 1 time. It didn't happen, it's gone. Another very important difference is that with a Veset Kavua, she's supposed to check herself. She didn't. She didn't see anything, and she didn't check herself. She cannot be with her husband until she checks herself. We don't allow it. You still have to check it because you have a Veset Kavua, you're expecting it. So you didn't feel it? Okay. You forgot, you were busy. Maybe maybe she has it. She needs to check herself. With a Veset She'eina Kavua, if she did not see anything, she didn't check herself. She could still be with her husband because she didn't see it. She didn't feel anything. So that's okay, b'di'evet. I mean, it's not as a concern as with the Veset Kavua that we are expecting it. Another very important difference between the two. So legabe this, ona benonit would be a Veset Kavua. I think most of the poskim say legabe this, to check to be with her husband or not, she better check herself, because if she hasn't had it till now, then she may have it at the ona benonit, which is there. All right. Speaking about ona benonit, when is ona benonit? The majority of Rishonim, the Taz, the Christian place, hold that it's 30 days from the last time she saw, whatever it was. 30 days later. Right? It's not the 30th day of the month, right? It's 30 days, but from the last time she saw. That's generally what most Rishonim hold. Yeah?
If she sees it.
We're going to talk about that. Okay, since you mentioned it already, okay.
No,
that's okay. It's good. All right. Well, let's say she does. Most women do have their period for several days. What do you do now? When do you start? When do you calculate from? So we hold the world, as we say in Yiddish, firzach. In other words, we conduct ourselves that you go by the first day, the onset, it's called in English. I think it's the Ramban who holds that you have to consider all the days. In other words, she may be, as she's seeing blood several days, she's be establishing various vesatot during the process. But we hold basically you go by the first day.
So, and that's all
yes.
All of the
yeah. There will be, however, one minor difference, which is not so minor. We'll soon see that the fact that she sees over several days can make a difference. And I'll share it with you soon. How or when it does make a difference. Okay, we'll get to that. But for now, all we need to know is that ona benonit, the majority of Rishonim hold that it's 30 days from the last time she saw it. Shach doesn't hold like that. So it's very interesting. Shach says there's only 2 days she has to be concerned with. It's Yom HaChodesh, the Haflaga. Yom HaChodesh is ona benonit. The day of the month that she saw is the same thing as ona benonit. Whether it's a full month or not a full month. Because otherwise, I mean, based on that, you can have sometimes every 30, every 31, according to this. Chavas Das, I think the Chassam Sofer also say that they hold it's 31 days from the start. But we for the most part, hold it's 30 days later. Now, let's talk a little bit about scenarios. I think I mentioned this last time, we'll review it. A woman who has a Veset Kavua. This Veset Kavua of hers is always after the Ona. What did we just finish saying Ona Benonit was? 30 days later. It happens to be that her Veset Kavua is always to every 30. Does she have to be concerned about Ona Benonit? No. Because she has a Veset Kavua. So what if it's beyond the 30 days? The fact that it's Kavua means that Ona Benoni does not apply to her. For this, I think there seems to be a consensus. She has a Veset Kavua, even though it's beyond the 30 days. Why also be concerned about 30 days? She's Kavua. When it becomes a little tricky when her Veset is shorter than the Ona Benonit. Let's say she sees every 26. And one time, she didn't see it anymore. It just didn't come. on the 26 days. Does she have to watch out on the 30th day? So Machlokes Rishonim, as we said last time. Ramban and the Ran says, yeah, of course. We're expecting it. If it didn't happen on the 26th, it's probably going to happen by the 30th day. So on the 30th day, she's going to be, even though she has a vested kavua, but she didn't have it. Since she didn't have it this month, watch out. For which day? The 30th. Not the 27th, not the 28th, the 30th. 30 days from the last time she saw it. The Rashba says no. Since she has a vested kavua, she doesn't have to be concerned. She didn't see it, she didn't see it. Sometimes they don't see it. So that's a machlokes rishonim. For those who have their period shorter than the oina beinanis. And that actually is quite seen. 26, 27, 28. If they didn't get it, But the Rashba, I think, is the only one that says that. Everybody else is machmir, I think. So she would have to watch out because the likelihood is that she will see it. That's the point. Most women who are usually having their periods are going to see every month. If there are changes, yes, sometimes early, sometimes later, things like that can happen, but they should skip a whole month. Maybe pregnant, older women who are little by little, getting out of it. That, yes. But for the average woman, unless something happened, it is to be expected. So that's why the Ramban, the Ran says she has to be choishes for the oina beinanis. All right. Another scenario. This one is a woman who does not have a vesik. What we just spoke about is a woman who has a vesik, but a woman who does not have a vesik. But she never sees less than 35 days. 32 days, actually. She always sees 32 days or later. She does not have a vesik of war, but she's basically never sees before. It hasn't happened to her. After 32 days, it could happen any day. What do we do then? Chavas Das says that she has to still be concerned about oina beinanis. Why? She never sees before 32 days because she doesn't have a vesik kavua. Since she's in that category, right? We put her in a category called a woman who has a vesik she'no kavua. So therefore, she has to be concerned about oina beinanis, just like anyone who does not have a vesik, even though she never sees before 32 days. That's what the Chavas Das says. Yeah, the other days, sure. Mm-hmm. So that, I don't know what everybody else says on that, but he says that since she does not have a vesik kavua, she would still have to be concerned that particular day. So lemaise, la halacha, what we need to know about a isha she'en la vesik kavua is that she has to watch out for three possibilities, right? And that's at least according to the Beis Yosef, the Prisha, the Bach, the Taz, not the Shach. That the day of the month, oina beinanis, and the haflaga, the time span of the last two periods. Just going back what we were saying before about akira of oina beinanis, it's mashma, I think, for just about all the poskim that oina beinanis, I think, is ne'keres in one time, and it was, I think, just the Terazov that says that oina beinanis is like a vesik kavua. I think, from what I recall, that the majority did hold that oina beinanis can also be nekar. We're saying that there's two opinions about, how do you treat oina beinanis? So from what I recall, it's a machlokes, but from what I saw, the vast majority of the poskim hold that it could be nekar with one time. How does that play out? We will soon see. How do you actually calculate the next oina beinanis? Okay, so what happens if the veset goes on for several days, which it usually does? So we said before that the Ramban is choishes for all those days, like every day is a veset in itself, until, of course, they're all eliminated, uprooted. Whereas the other Rishonim, the Razah, the Rashba, the Rosh, hold that you only concern yourself with the first day, the onset of the period. Later on, we will see it inside. The Ramah brings both shitas, and he holds like a second sheet, that you go after the onset of the... The Ramah. The Ramah, he brings it in, we'll read it in... I figured I'll give it to you a little bit now, and then when we read it inside, it will make sense. In the following scenario, you have an additional period. It could happen that within a month, a woman saw or had her period twice. Let's say she had it today, Aleph Nisan, and then 20 days later she has it again, Chof Nisan. Should she be concerned now for Aleph Iyar? Now remember, we're not talking about a woman that has a vesek of water. We're talking about the scenario. She saw it twice in 1 month. Aleph Nisan, and then Chaf Nisan. Should she be concerned with the Yom HaChodesh, which would be Aleph Iyar? And from what I recall, the poskim say yes. Why? Because even though it's Vesa Sheina Kavua, what did we say the rule for Vesa Sheina Kavua is? That she would have to uproot it at least once. It was never uprooted. It would have to be that an Aleph Iyar she doesn't see. Aleph Sivan, she doesn't have to be concerned. So even though she just had it again, well, that could be a fluke. Something happened. It does not mean that she's not going to see it anymore on Aleph Iyar. So in this scenario where she sees twice, she still has to be concerned the following month, the following day of the month, the same day of the month that she saw it last month. Another scenario is, let's say she saw Aleph Nisan and she saw Chof Nisan. What should she do on Lamed Nisan? Lamed Nisan would be Oina Beinanis, right? Does she have to be concerned about that too? The Taz says, yeah. She doesn't have a Vesa Kavua, but I saw basically quite a few Achronim that say that she doesn't have to be concerned anymore. Since she saw it on the 20th day of the month, there's no more chashash, there's no more concern that she may see it again on the 30th, because she probably had it early this time, she just had it. And that is, I think, how we hold, basically. Once, even though she's, in the other case, Yom HaChodesh, there appears to be those who are machmer, because it approved it, Yom HaChodesh. But Oina Beinanis, what's Oina Beinanis? Oina Beinanis, what we say is, if she hasn't had it till now, she will have it by then. But she just did have it. Then why do you consider that she will have it? Oina Beinanis is like a safety mechanism, if you want to call it that. She didn't have it till now, she may have it by then. But she did have it. So
it singles out that person, saying she'll have it by then. She'll be extra careful on this particular individual. It makes no statement.
You're right. I'm putting a little bit of an extra touch to it.
But this gives it a whole different meaning, and there's a switch in the meaning.
Yeah, you're saying, I'm saying by then. But it's really, listen, the reason I say by then is because she's not kavua.
Now that you say then, you can now factor in the 20th.
Right.
Let's say the 20th, that interrupted the by then.
Yes.
And therefore you don't have to worry about the 3rd anymore.
Exactly.
But the truth of the matter is, we're not what she might see. And then you can't refer back saying that, well, since we're not saying she doesn't see by then.
Right.
See, the by then already factors in 20.
Yeah, so it could be that's why the Taz says that she has to consider herself.
I see a lot of idols in the Taz.
Yes, it could be, yeah. But there's a lot of logic to this too, that since she saw it on the 20th, that's it. The whole Oina Beinanis was a chashash. At least once a month a woman's going to see. She doesn't have a Vesa Kavua. She may be the average, once a month, once every 30 days. But she had it on the 20th. Anyway, the Taz says she still has to be concerned, but I think the majority of the Achronim hold that she doesn't. Alright, as far as the Oina Beinanis will be calculated always from Re'iyah Achroina. According to the majority of the Poskim, that is how you calculate it from the last time. So if she saw, let's say she saw at the beginning of the month, today, and then she saw on the 25th of the month. So what do we say? So 5 days later, Oina Beinanis is no longer applicable, right? So when is it going to be? 30 days from the 25th of the month. Re'iyah Achroina. Yeah, if we cancel the 30th, then when is the next Oina Beinanis? From the last time she saw.
Where we said,
this is not like the Taz, I believe. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Before we had an example, we expected the day doesn't damp worry that she might see on the expected.
One more time?
Did before, where we had a scenario, unexpected day.
Right.
Does not diminish the expected day also as well, because it can happen that it might see.
Yes, that's correct.
And why in this case? Do we say now that she saw him, she's not going to see again? Said even though she saw, she might see again.
Why are we worried about Yom HaChodesh from the 1st and she told this time the 1st? The 1st and the 20th. We would expect her on the 1st of the next one.
Right. So we did. Remember we said that Yom HaChodesh is more of a chashash than Oina Beinanis, only if she ended up seeing that month sometime. Otherwise, Oina Beinanis.
So she saw this
and the 20th.
So she's for the 1st.
Right. 10 days later, or whatever.
Whatever her flag might be from for as well. As we call it a safety net.
No, well, she has a new haflaga now, right? She has the haflaga from 1 to 20th.
Now that you've taken away the other one, she has a new.
Exactly.
But you first had to the oiker.
Right.
So in other words, if the first result of the month, that notwithstanding that she saw on the 20th just passed, we have to worry about the result of counting 30 days, then because she saw on the 20th, we don't have to worry about the month.
Yeah, but just remember, right now what's going to happen is comes the first day of the following month, she's going to be concerned about it. Just concerned. She's going to check herself. She may not have it.
But we don't require her to.
No, we do require her to check herself, right?
Well,
To be choishes on the first day of the following month. Aleph Nisan, Chof Nisan, she was not oiker the first day of the month, right?
But
A woman who's not, she has no Vesek
the
Kavua.
date of the month, or you're talking about this?
Talking about the day of the month.
Well, I'm comparing the two.
Right. So we said, except for the Taz, that Oina Beninus is in place only for those who don't have it at all during the month. We give them one day. You know what? You haven't had it. You don't have it on a regular basis. You may have it on the 30th day, on the Oina Beninus. Average. But she had it on the 1st. She had it on the 20th. The chashash is no longer there, that she should see it also on the Oina Beninus. That's just an extra day that was given to her because we expect her to see sometime during the month. But she did. That we don't have anymore as much a chashash that she will see it again because she saw it. Whereas the day of the month may be something unique about that day of the month. Remember that we said before that? There's something unique about a day of the month. Otherwise, why should she spend one day of the month? To be oiker that, it has to be that she comes first day of year, she doesn't see it. Oh, if she doesn't see it, she can forget about it the next
time, right?
Once, because it's a nakavua. She's always going to be choshesh only once. Comes along the next month, that one day nothing happens. That day is completely erased from her calendar.
So now she goes into that because she saw it someday.
There's going to be a new Oina Beninus that will be calculated from the last Re'iyah, right? 20 on the 20th or 21st, 30 days later after that will be her new Oina Beninus. That she has to watch out for, plus, initially, Aleph Iyar, that coming month, the Iyar month. What's going to be Sivan? No more Aleph Sivan, because she didn't see it. Right? But there will be some day of the month, the last day of the month. That she's just choishes.
Wouldn't it be 30 days after?
No, not necessarily. Let's say she sees on the fourth day of fourth day of Sivan is a concern. She has no Vesek Kavua, so she has to watch out what will make it happen. Is it the Yom HaChodesh? Is it the Oina Beninus? Or maybe the Hafloga? She has to watch out more. The woman who has a Vesek Kavua doesn't have to be concerned about all of that.
So once she loses the day of the month, now she has to start 2 or 3 times.
Some other day. Always 3 days. Always 3 days. There's always 3 days to watch out for. 3 times. And they usually are pretty close. I mean, the Veset HaFlaga with the 30 days, I mean, they could be pretty close.
You mean it's the watch out for the other one?
For the other one.
Watch out all three
for all three. For all three, yeah.
Regardless of it.
What do you mean the first one?
She has 3 days of first.
No, once she gets it, she got it. She got it. Right, she got it. Because she got it. And that's her new date for the following month, too.
So that she lost it. If she lost it, she has to watch out for 3. But as long as she's in some kind of cycle...
Well, right now, let's say she gets it on the next time is the 26th of the month. She doesn't have to watch out for a flogon anymore now.
Or
because she got it. Once she got it, she got it.
So if she has it on one day, is the day of the month, or is it on this?
That was the question with the Oina Beninus. In other words, she got it on the 20th. Does she still have to be concerned about Oina Beninus?
Of the one that was before.
That was before.
Okay,
right?
no, but now let's say she didn't have it. She only had it on the 20th.
Yeah.
And it's not a content of some form of cycle of the month or whatever.
Right.
It's not a she happened to get something unique now, dafka on the 20th. Does she now have to worry about 30 days after the 20th? Have to worry about the 20th of the
also,
month?
Sure.
All
of those, yeah.
Possible
variations. She has no Vesek Kavua, so
until she actually sees.
Until she does not see. In other words, on those days she's oiked them.
Right, but sees on one of them she doesn't worry about the next. In other words, if she saw it after 30 days, she'd worry about the day of the month. She saw on the 20th. Seen on the 50th.
Yeah,
day,
once
she doesn't need to worry about the 20th.
Once she gets her Veset, and it's not just a little bit of a drip, as we will be learning later on. It can't be a stain thing. Then that's the real thing. Yeah.
That took care of it.
That took care of it. Yeah. All right. In Sif Beis, I'm going to read it inside. The Mechaber in the very beginning speaks about 2 kinds of Vesatot, the Veset HaFlog and the Veset HaChodesh. And as we said before, the calculation is always done from the onset of the period and not from the end. Before we read it, maybe I should just go through a few more ideas here. It could be that a woman has to be choshesh for a Veset she'eino kavua, even though she has a Veset kavua. In other words, sometimes it can happen that a woman who has a Veset kavua, somehow 1 month she had a different date. for whatever reason. She changed. So now she has to be concerned about the 2 days. But eventually we'll get to that. What I was telling you before about Akira, it could be a very interesting situation. Even though Akira for Vesa Kavua is 3 days and for Vesa Shena Kavua is 1 day or 1 time, let's say that she usually sees on the 25th of the month. And this time around, she saw on the 24th. But it lasted the 25th. So she was not Oiker the 20th. Even though she saw it a day early. You follow me?
Yeah, I'm saying.
Yeah. You would say, oh, she's no longer seeing it on the 25th. No, but she is actually still seeing on the 25th.
It broke out early, but 25th one, it broke out early.
Exactly. So it's still continuous, so that's not called an Akira. And this is, by the way, for whether it's Kavua or Eina Kavua. Makes no difference. For that day, even though she's supposed to watch out for that day and she see it, even in the Eina Kavua situation, she's concerned about a particular day. She saw it earlier, but it continues on to the next, which is the day that she was concerned about. It's not called an Akira. That means next month she still has to watch out for that day, even though it happened earlier. You follow me? In other words, it's for both, Kavua and Eina Kavua, because she's still seeing it.
What about the earlier day?
Of course she does. Right, exactly, yeah.
No, if she's going to worry about it.
No, if she's Kavua, no, because it's one-time thing.
Right.
But she's concerned at least once. For something that's not Kavua, remember? A woman can have a Kavua, and 1 month, for some reason, she saw it on another day.
In addition?
No, not in addition.
Instead.
So the following month, she has 2 dates to be concerned about. She has the first date that she has to be concerned about because she's seen a pattern. It's not broken yet. It needs 3 times to break it. But this new date that she saw, she has to be concerned about it 1 time.
Okay, otherwise if it doesn't, then it's not.
Then she can forget about it.
But here in our case, we had both. We had an adult date.
We had, right. In our scenario, we had both. We had both because it's really one, but it spread out longer.
And it started early.
And because of that, forget about the fact that it did not establish necessarily a new Vesed Kavua. For sure, that's a one-time thing perhaps. It was an interesting scenario that just for us to see how Akira wouldn't work here. In other words, in dealing with Akira, not in dealing with a new date. Because the fact is you do have a new date, however you look at it. But forget about that. As far as Akira is concerned, we're saying, oh, it didn't happen on the 25th, it happened on the 24th. No, but that's not Akira because she was still blood into the 25th. So it never really was a pruda. So I still have to be concerned about it the following month, even if it's a Vesa Sheina Kavua. Because the fact is, she was seeing on that day. So there's not a real Akira. This is true both, whether it's a Vesa Kavua or Eina Kavua. The fact that she saw it on another day does not mean she's no longer seeing on her regular 25th. She is. It's coming in a little earlier. That's all. You see what I mean? It's not changing really the pattern. Now let's say, here's another few scenarios. Let's say she had a Vesed Kavua. The day of her Vesed arrived and she didn't check herself. And she didn't see anything. And it happened like this 3 times.
She did or she did not?
She did not. She didn't see. She didn't notice anything. She's Kavua. She's Kavua. The day of her Vesed arrived. She didn't check. And she didn't see anything. And this happened 3 times. The Chavas Das says this is not an Akira. She didn't check.
Maybe there was something she didn't see.
Right, maybe there was and she didn't see. When do you say there's Akira? When you check and there's nothing. Then you can say there's nothing. And this is also true he wants to say that this is also true for Vesa Sheina Kavua. You should have checked. If you didn't check, you missed out. You still have to be concerned about it the next time around. Next time, check. If you check and it didn't come on that day, then that day doesn't count anymore on the Vesa Sheina Kavua. That's what the Chavas Das wants to say. I think that Pischei Tshuva says he only agrees on a Vesa Kavua, that it doesn't count towards Akira. But Vesa Sheina Kavua, if she didn't see anything, even though she didn't check, it's okay. I think he's not machmer on that. Now what happens if she saw twice in a certain day, let's say on the 20th of it, twice. On the 3rd day, on the 3rd time around, she didn't check. She forgot to check on that day. On the 4th time, she saw. Some hold that that's a Kaviyus Veset. She saw twice on the same day. On the 3rd time, she didn't check. On the 4th time, it was the same day. So some hold that was a Kaviyus Veset. Just because one time she missed, even though it's supposed to be consecutive, since the first 2 and the last one are the same, it's a Kaviyus Veset. Interesting scenarios.
With a gap.
Yeah.
Presumably she, when she checked...
No. There was nothing else. Nothing happened, anything else. Yeah. So it could be that she basically didn't notice it, and it did happen on that day too. That could happen. We will see later on that it is possible for a woman to go back to her original vesed, even though there was an interruption. She functions like a clock, and then sometimes there could be interruption. It could be that she's going back.
Why should it not? It's not possible.
No, we might think that if there's a change, the change is permanent. Not necessarily. It could be a temporary change and it goes back to the original one. So we'll get to that next time. Now, let's say you can have a situation where a vesed kavua, somehow, 3 times she checked. Nothing happened. Didn't see anything. She checked. No blood. What now? This is called, as we would call it in Hebrew, vesed benaim. In other words, matzah benaim, I should say. An in-between situation. On the one hand, it's a kind of a kira, right? She uprooted it 3 times, so she doesn't have to be choshesh anymore, right? On the other hand, if it does, this would be an example, if it does ever come back on that day, she goes back to her original vesed. And this is all assuming that she doesn't get it on some other day. So this would be perhaps a good example of an interruption of sorts that goes back to its original pattern. She didn't see it at all, and she checked. It could happen. Does that mean Akira? In some ways, yes. The problem why it's not complete Akira is because she's not getting it on another day. So therefore, it's not exactly 100% Akira. I mean, she doesn't have to be choishesh for that day because she didn't see it 3 times. But if it does eventually come back, we don't say, oh, no, now she needs 3 more times to establish the pattern. So it's like it's in a limbo. She didn't see, but she didn't see it another day. So if it does end up coming back on the same day, we say basically it went back to its original, and 1 time is sufficient. Okay, maybe just let's read it inside. Sif Aleph reads, Kol isha she'in lo vesed kavua chosheshes liyom lamed l'riyoso. Any woman that does not have a vesed kavua has to be concerned about the 30th day from the last time she saw. That's called oina benonis, listam noshim for the average women. V'im yesh la vesed kavua lezman yadua mikof lekof, or mikof he lekof. If she does have a vesed kavua every 20 days or every 25 days, chosheshet lezman yadua, she only has to be concerned for that day. Sif Beis, Ketzat Kova'ato, how does she establish it? Kegon Shetire Arba Pe'omim. So you see the Mechaber holds that you need the 4 times. Beinehem, in the 4 times, basically you have 3 time spans. Beinehem Gimel Zmanim Shovim, 3 equal times. Kegon Sheroso Hayoim, today. Ulesof Chof Yom, Pamacheret. Then 20 days later she saw again. Ve'oida Sof Chof Yom, Ve'oida Sof Chof Yom. Then altogether 4 times. Then Nikra Veset HaFlogos. This is the term, or this is the type of vesed called vesed ha'aflogos, which there is a certain amount of time between all of them. Ulechach, he says, arba re'iyos. She does need 4. The first one you don't count because you just need it as an anchor, right, to figure out how much time has gone by. The first one is not with any haflogo. It's the first point. Even before she has established the pattern of 3 times, she always needs to be concerned. Even though she hasn't had it 3 times yet, she still has to be concerned that after she saw it, pam achas, 1 time after chof, after 20 days, from now on she still has to be concerned when the next 20 days come, 20 days later. And the same applies v'chem beriyas hayomim. She could have a vesed that is based on days of the month. She saw on the 3rd day of the month, for example, or he brings Kigon Kof Aleph, Kof Hey. It is on those days, on that day, she cannot be intimate with her husband during that day or night that she saw it last time. The same is true with all other vesed which exist, where there is some sort of pattern. That she has to be concerned for them, except for dilug. Dilug we will talk about later. Dilug is the one that involves skipping, because there's a skip involved. As we will see it later on. The only reason they really said that you need to establish it 3 times, if we're always being choishish for that day the following month, so what's this 3 times for? The 3 times is important only le'inyan akira. Because once something is established 3 times, then you need 3 times to uproot it. As long as she did not uproot it 3 times in a row, she has to be concerned about that particular day or time span. Avali aser, but to be aser, you don't need 3 times. Afilu bepam achas, even with 1 time. Chosheshes lo pam shni, she has to be concerned about that day the second time around the following month. Umihu, but afal pi shechosheshes lo, even though she is concerned about it 1 time, nekad bepam achas, you can uproot it with 1 time. Even if it happened twice. Afilu kavato beis pe'omim, she also beis pe'omim leyom yodua. She saw it on the same day twice, but bashlish is the 3rd time around lo raso, eno chosheshes lo. No more, gone. Why? Because it's not 3 times. So whether it's once or twice, she's going to look out for it on the following month. But once it does not happen even once, she can erase it from her notebook. That is not the day that she has to be concerned about the following month. Okay, I think we can stop here and put Hashem next week.